And welcome everyone again to another episode of Overly Opinionated. Episode 4. You have me, James, and another one of my co-hosts, Miss
Lucy.
And today, again, we just want to let everyone know, go check us out on YouTube, Overly Opinionated. Go check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. There's clips, pictures, there's posts. Just interact with us, like, share, subscribe, comment. Any comments are welcome. It greatly appreciated. It really helps us out a lot. It only takes a few seconds. We appreciate everybody for rocking with us, and we trying to get it going. Today we have a pretty touchy episode. We're doing accountability in the Black community and what we could, not just talking about it, but also ways that we could improve it, because it's always good to talk about something, but you want to be able to not just sit and talk about it and have an opinion about it, but what are you doing? So that's what today's episode is on. And again, there's some pretty good insight in there, and things gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, stay tuned and watch the content with us.
Want to get into a deeper topic, and it's very touchy, but I like being touched, so don't laugh at me, Sessions. So
that was good.
What we're gonna do is,
I'm sorry,
I don't want to do the usual are men more accountable than women, or women more accountable than men? Because to be honest, that's a standstill conversation.
Just go in circles.
Yeah, it's a stalemate, and it's been done. And there's, I know. So I want to go into a deeper, because all of us are here are all African Americans, and this is my opinion, and so I want to put my opinion out there. And I don't know, and again, people, I don't know whether these people agree with this opinion or not. This was not rehearsed. So I feel like in the Black race, we have a big issue with being accountable. I feel like anytime that something doesn't go our way or we don't get what we want, we instantly find someone to blame it on, and it's never just us. It's never that the other person was better or smarter or whatever. It was always the big joker, the race card. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's a big issue with that as far as people, and I'm talking about Black men and women. This is not just a one gender thing, because I see it all the time from dudes. I got, homeboys I used to be cool with, and I seen them. We all grew up together. They made some of the worst, shittiest choices in life. But when you talk to them now, we all like 39 years old, and the system and the this and the that, and I'm looking like, no, brother, we all grew up in the same everything. You made choices, you did whatever, and you got the outcome that came with those choices. There's nobody else to point a finger at and blame for these things. That person doesn't exist. So that's my opinion. I feel like in the Black community, especially, and I speak on the Black because I don't, I can't, I got mixed race friends and different races, but I don't know their community and their culture because I'm not embedded in. I was born Black and I'm die Black. So I know Black people. And I just feel like, and it irks me because I don't like the victim mentality. Mm-hmm. And I remember growing up watching my grandma and my granddad. These were strong Black people. And you never, my grandma died at 89 years old. She was a sharecropper. And she used to tell me that younger people are more upset about slavery than the people that actually went through it. They moved on, they became strong. And it's that right there, that sensitivity and so I don't like the victim mentality. I don't like feeling, hey, something happened. It wasn't my fault. I'm the victim. Woe is me. Feel sorry for me. I don't like that. And I don't like it at all in our community. I especially don't like it for our men. I don't like it for the whole community, but I hate to see it most when it's our men, because I look at the man is supposed to be the strength in the community. And you can't be the strength if you're always trying to, and we've pretty much popularized being victims. Like, that's the new thing to be. It's not be the strong hero. It's who can be the biggest victim. And I don't like it. And I say I don't like it, especially for Black men, because there's just a way I grew up looking at men and how I felt about them. They were the strength of the community and everything. And I don't feel like it's that anymore, because even the men are wanting to be victims for their choices that they make. And there's no accountability almost ever. And we see it all day on social media, whether it's Black men versus Black women, or anytime something happens and it, if we did something, it's always either, well, the other race did it, or someone else did it and that okays it, or, well, we did it because of this. No, you did it because it was a choice. So that's what I wanted to lead into with the accountability, because I do feel like that is like a big issue for me being a Black person. I have friends and I talk about the same kind of stuff, and it's always the same thing. You listening to these people, and whenever something's happening, I was in the barbershop the other day, and these dudes got so far with it, they started talking about that what did he call the Black mobility? That's the new Illuminati, and they're the reason that he went to prison, and because he knew some stuff and they was trying to keep. And I'm listening to these other 3 or 4 guys sitting in there, and they're like eating it up because that works for them. Okay, now I got somebody to blame for my bad choices. And now you, instead of having one fool in there saying this, now you got, when you leave out, you got 5, because 4 people sat in there and listened to this and was taking it in like, oh yeah, so you didn't go to jail because of what you did. You went to jail because, that's what they do to us. That, that's the Black movement, mobility. That's the play. I don't get it and I don't like it. So that's my opinion. And I want to see what everyone else feels about this. And again, very touchy subject. Probably going to make some of your friends upset if you agree. I don't mind. For me.
Who wants to go?
I'll lead.
Okay, I'll second you. I got stuff to say.
So my thing is this. I'm just straight to the point. I don't think the Black community is accountable in general. I think there are certain aspects that we are accountable for, but most of the time, I think it's easier for us to be in victim status versus to be in, I'm gonna say these terms, king and queen status, since that's what we like to throw out there. Here's the thing. The Black community has a lot of damage retroactively because of slavery and everything that is going on. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to compare us to white people in this, because I don't necessarily think white people are the standard to which any of us should be basing ourselves off of. I think the Black community is its own thing. Are we a monolith? No. But I don't think that we do a equal comparison to other race groups as if, that fits all the time. Yes, some things are apt, some things we can learn from them, but I don't think that is necessarily what it is. Now, as far as this accountability thing, we in this community are an emotional people. Whether we want to admit it or not, we are emotional. And so, because of that, that's good and bad. On one hand, we take pity or sympathy or empathy, whatever the words you want to throw out, on others when they're going through certain things, and we want to extend a helping hand and do said things. On the other hand, we can also be very malicious and insensitive to our own people for going through certain things too.
Mm-hmm.
And that looks very hypocritical at times. But unfortunately, this is the way, this is how it is. This is what we're born into. We have to address these things. We have to address these issues. Okay. Let's talk about voting, for instance. That's a hot button trigger topic, right? I'm gonna be the first to say I'm not a voter. I've never voted. I've never exercised my right to vote.
I voted for Obama twice because he was Black, and I never voted it before or after that. I'm just be honest, and I don't mind saying it.
Here's my thing. I'm not gonna push anybody to vote that don't want to exercise their right to vote.
Because it's a right.
It is a right. You don't have to use it. You can use it. There are people that say, yes, people died for it. We need to use blah, blah, blah. I get it. My reason for voting is, or not voting is my reason for not voting. But
what is that reason, Joe?
I'll get into that in a second.
Oh,
I don't want to miss my point. So, for instance, when Trump won the election, everybody wanted to hold Black people accountable for this. We're only 13, 16% of the society.
16
everybody
now.
Everybody wants to hold the Black community responsible for this. You're the reason Trump got elected. You're the reason Trump got elected. But nobody was sitting here saying or giving us praise and stuff when all these other people were getting put into offices and things. It's always how can we use Black people when it's beneficial to us and then neglect them when it's not. My reason for not voting is, one, at least if we're going to vote, I prefer to vote locally. I think there's more power in local elections than there is on the grand stage. Why? Because the Electoral College determines the president. So I don't think voting for the president necessarily matters. The stuff that I care about is stuff in the community. If you're going to tell me what I would vote for, if you want to get, more funding for Black boys in education and school, I'd rather vote for that because we're lacking. We're dead last in all of those categories. But you want to talk about voting on a macro scale, show me one presidential candidate that actually stands behind that issue.
They stand behind it when they're trying to get the votes.
Right, but the thing is, they don't want to give us tangibles, right?
Yeah.
But you want us to be accountable for voting for people that don't actually have our best interest in heart. Well, you should go vote because blah blah blah. I think Democrat and Republican are the same part of the coin, different sides of the same coin.
You took that from me, brother. You took that from me.
They are literally different sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
But you want us to go vote one because we're told one is supposed to be better for us than the other when we haven't gained anything
from either.
Thank you.
From either.
But we got to be held accountable when people aren't showing up to the polls to go vote for the same people that aren't trying to help us out anyway.
Call insanity.
Oh, I totally agree with you on all that, brother. Because that's my reason for not voting.
This is why I brought in politics, because this is one of those things, and I know it's going to be some people that's going to be upset hearing this. I really don't care. This needs to be said. If we want to talk about accountability, accountability starts with self. That's why I mentioned that in the last segment. It's a self thing. You look inward first. Okay? That's why I said I'm not judging anyone that don't vote or choose to vote. Do what you do. I'm not mad regardless of who becomes president. I honestly, if you want to talk about conspiracy theories, I think it's more powers at play than the president. The president, the most powerful person in the free nation. Bullshit.
I agree. They're the face. Like a CEO.
Right. You got to have an image.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, me not voting for a person doesn't change this overall outcome, especially when the Electoral College picks the president. They're going to do what they are going to do regardless. And you want to know something? Black people ain't going to be a part of it no matter what. So what should we do? How do you be accountable for that? I think group economics is one way. I think we should promote more of our own. I think those are things that we could do to be accountable as a community. But are we going to go out of our way to do that? No.
Because it's easier to just roll with the norm.
It's easier just to be a victim. And I get it. Not everybody has it. Not everybody has access to certain things. I get it. But sometimes just word of mouth. Sometimes just a little bit of knowledge, because there are people that like to gatekeep. You want to talk about accountability when certain Black people are trying to get information to improve their life and get to the next level, which you want to gatekeep because you don't want someone else to come get that same money you get.
Oh, I'm going through that right now with this podcast when asking certain people questions, and it's like a podcast, literally like you not getting paid, I'm not getting paid. but there are cats that I've talked to that literally like won't tell you certain stuff. And I'm looking like, bro, it's a pot. Like, it's not costing you nothing to do. It's not costing me nothing to do. Like, why wouldn't I? If D-Man called me and asked me something about something that I know about, I have no problem sharing that information. I don't feel any way about, I don't feel like he competing with me or nothing. If I have the knowledge, you can get it.
I've been trying to get information on getting a book published for the last like 5 years. And you'll be surprised the number of Black authors I've communicated with, and I can't get information. It's always, I'll tell you later, or I'm busy, I'll get back to you.
Do you get well, if you do this, because that's what I've gotten with the podcast question. Well, when you get to 500 views or 1,000 subscribe, once you get to this, then and I'm like, so I don't get that. I'm not asking you to do anything for me. I'm just asking you, hey, how did you do this? Hey, what was that platform that you was using for this? Just 2-3 words, but hey, well, when you get to 1,000, subscribers or viewers, then then I tell you, and that's like weird to me. Like it's like holding knowledge hostage. Do what I want you to do, and then I'll tell you. That's so weird to me.
But those will be the same people that tell you, okay, well, the Black community could be better if blah, 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 but you're going to gatekeep the knowledge that can help the Black community. Oh, we not being accountable. Okay.
It's all a circle. Go back to it in a full circle.
But anyway, I know I didn't ramble long enough. Y'all can have the floor.
Oh, you good? You was good.
Like
you was good.
10 minutes.
It was good points. So, D-Man, what I'm going to do is I want to come to you last, brother.
Mm.
And there's a reason I want to come to you last, because I feel like of all of us with this, you probably have the most knowledge on a lot of this, because I know you did a lot of reading and research. So I want to come to you last, because it's going to be like the final rep. So I got you. Lucy, what do you feel when it comes to the Black, and choose words wisely, but what do you feel when it comes to accountability in the Black community, just as far as just issues with us and how it's never our fault?
All right.
Take a deep breath.
It's like I'm with you, but I don't want to ignore that there are some truths, to just Black people being held down, choked, suffocated,
And I agree. Whoa, before you start, I want you to know, I totally agree and acknowledge those things. But I feel like with those things have been beaten into the ground. And
I would go.
It's never a right time to talk about us doing. It's always the right time to talk about others doing to us, but it's never a right time to discuss our own accountability. So, but I understand.
I feel that 100%, but like, there's Black on Black crime. There is, the Black dad not being at home because making stupid decisions, getting arrested. Those are probably the main two for me, because there's a lack in the Black household. And, just over the past few years, like dad's in jail, my uncle's in jail or something like that. And yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. Yes, they did such and such thing, committed a crime, made it. Like, the Black on Black crime thing hurts. Like, whoo, and there's, a theory behind why that exists. This is a tough one for me.
I know this is tough for you, because I know you have an empathy for Black people, like, and yours is very,
I done did a whole film.
Yeah. So I know that's why I say I knew this was gonna be a tough one for you.
But I would like us to be, more accountable, because again, like we've all said, when once accountability gets in and it settles in, there may be change. But I do feel like the earth as a whole is just too damn far gone. it's gonna take a lot of fixing, and fixing on self, then fixing in community, and then fixing in your state, and fixing and just in the family as a house. Like, it's gonna take a lot of fixing.
You gotta start from the foundation. You gotta strip it down to the foundation and
And I don't
rebuild.
know if we have enough time.
We don't.
The Lord may be on his way back tonight, and we ain't done what we were supposed to been do.
Done.
So again, like, I want there to be accountability in the Black community. That's why I say I want to do my part and be the change I want to see in the world, and not make these same mistakes. But how are we gonna fix the Black men and the Black women that act a certain way in this community and cause this destruction and chaos? Like, how do we fix that? And then once they get into the system, you can't win once you get in, because we all know the system is not meant for us.
Oh, it's a hamster wheel. I worked in plenty prison system. It's a hamster wheel.
All right, now session go, because I'm done.
It's about to get real light skin, y'all. Session, you on mute.
So there's a thing called breaking the generational curse, and I used to be like, oh, we can totally do this. But like Lucy said, it's like at some point, what is it, like you say, sweep around your own house before you go and
sweep around your own front door
before you try to
sweep
around
around
mine.
So you got to start somewhere. Now, have Black people been wrong? Yes. Are there some instances where we are the victim? Yes.
Yes.
Wholeheartedly. Are there some actions that we have played a part that we could, as Black people, could have avoided? Hell yes. There are plenty. But at what point do we as Black people look at the community mirror and say we have to stop? Like, at what point do we say, you know what, we got to stop this? Like, we have to make a change. Like, how many more volunteer organizations can we come in and, recreate and mentor and do this? It starts at home.
The Black family.
Yeah, I'm a teacher. I am sick and tired of seeing that teacher was wrong for swinging on that student. But then at home, it's like a child's first teacher is their mom or dad. You meet mom or dad, you see that apple didn't even fall. The apple is right next to the tree. Like, it's
still
right
on
there.
Yeah, it's still on the branch.
So it's one of those things. It's like somebody somewhere has to be that change in that household. Somebody has to wake up and decide, I'm not going to be my mother, her mother before her. I'm not going to be my father's father's father. Like, at some point, we got to wake up and say, I'm not going to be the parent to you that you were to me. But the cycle just keeps continue. It's like you said, James, it's a hamster wheel. And it's whether you are in jail or you're not in jail, it's a cycle that keeps going. And how many more Black people have to be killed by police? How many more Black people have to be killed by Black people? How many, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, as Black people, I feel like we invest in the wrong things. Like,
yes.
As much as people do not like him, I look at LeBron James. Okay, as much as people don't like him as a player,
Black men hate him.
I look at him and his friendship group. I don't know what conversation they had, but it was like, look, if LeBron go make it to the league, we all gonna make it somewhere in our own life, but we are not going to be victims of the community, we're not going to be victims of our childhood.
He empowered his whole friend group.
Right. So
to
you
rise with him instead of just
Right.
dragging them along
right.
in their
And so like to me,
situations.
I'm always like, you cannot, and like Black people, we have this mentality of don't forget where you came from.
And you only hear that in the Black community.
Yes. And it's like, I hate to say this, white people were not raised on the don't forget where you came from. But Black people, we were raised on don't forget where you came from. You make it big, you gotta buy big mama, your sister, your big brother. You gotta buy everybody a house. You gotta take care of everybody in the immediate family. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Success becomes a burden.
And if you look at it opposite, they take care of the younger ones coming up. Like, we go back and buy for mama and grandma. White mamas and grandmas and great made sure they great grandniece
was good.
Yeah. But we buy, and then it's just like, and then when y'all die, there's nothing. Like, we have to understand, we cannot take Pookie and Ray Ray with us. Pookie and Ray Ray got to stay where they are, unless Pookie and Ray Ray are going to be willing to come up with us.
Like, that's what you got to do. Elevate their.
Yes.
I see a lot of people make it and take people and you drag them and their issues with you instead of, hey, let me help you get rid of these issues. Right, now we can all go.
Yeah, because to me, if I ever came back, I'm not taking Pookie and Ray Ray. I may come back, build a community center, donate some, you know what I'm saying? But not everybody has that same mind frame. Not everybody understands how much you have to lose. And some people who don't have anything to lose don't care what they do.
People that don't have anything to lose definitely don't care.
And so Black people, we are always under this, we have this mind frame that you have to take care of everybody. You don't have to do that. I'm sorry. Like, you don't. And then we feel guilty. Like, if we, like, there's one thing I can say.
The community guilts you.
Right. That's one thing I can say about the Hispanic community. They stick strong, thick and thin, through it all. They want you to succeed. You know, and it's not saying the Black people don't want you to succeed, but it's almost like if you don't, like, for some reason, the mentality with some Black families, and I've seen it, it's like, if you don't help, it's like, how dare you? It's like, it's to a fact where some Black families will literally, like, disown you.
And some Black people will help. You know, it's like you have to find those individuals in your family that you can help. The people you can bring with you that are going to do something with themselves. Because like you said, if you bring some people with you, they are going to bring you down because they don't want to do what you're doing. And you decide upon yourself, I'm gonna put you on my shoulder and I'm gonna bring you with me. And here they go, dragging along the drugs, the violence, the attitude, the craziness to put you in a position where you fail.
Right. And then if you have nothing to show for it.
You go and find your cousin Josh or Shonda and they trying to move up, or are they trying to get this education, or they need a little bit more this and that. Yeah, because you know that they have a goal and they want to do something and they prove themselves worthy. You can, as hard as it is for us to get ahead, when we finally do, you shouldn't want us to be pulled back because we've reached back to grab such and such who don't even have the mind to want to go further than what's right in front of them.
You help people who want to help themselves. That's a lot.
And easier. I think sometimes with Black people, we also have this, my child is good at sports, he's going to the NBA, or he's going to play NFL. Don't do that to your child.
I'm so tired.
Your child can't spell his name. Your child cannot spell his name, which means he's not going to be able to read a contract. Don't do that to your child.
That's about to get worse now, thanks to NIL.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. So for me, I'm just like, as a community, we have to rearrange our priorities.
And stop thinking education is I listen to it, it's a form of oppression. Like, I get so sick of people, Black people acting like learning and being smart and educated is like, oh, you trying to be better than me, or it's
Right.
some form. Like, no, you should want to.
Like kids
Here's my
getting
favorite.
killed because
You're
they get
oppressed
scholarships
if you
to go to college.
Yeah, you're oppressed if you dumb and never learn nothing. You're oppressing yourself. You're not oppressed by learning, oh, well, that's the white man book. And that, like, what?
Hey, James, you remember this back home? Hey, man, that's white people shit. We don't do that.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I hear it all the time
Exactly.
just by how I talk. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you try to sound white, you use big words. And I'm like, so I should dumb down my conversation so you don't feel
That part.
insecure
Oh,
because
my
I
God.
used a 3-syllable word that I honestly don't feel like it's a big word, but to
Right.
you, it just got your brain smoking. So I don't get that, but I never understood, like, we're the only race of people who treat education and higher learning like it's a bad thing.
Like it's the devil. Like, oh, you can read. Yeah.
Come on in, D-Man, so we can
Yeah,
wrap
all
this
right.
shit up.
Yeah.
Man, y'all said a
Take
lot.
your time.
And first of all, I hate the fact that James tried to put me under pressure. Like I'm Mr. Like I know everything about black culture.
I mean, you
are a
talked
scholar.
to us last time
But-
about your 2 degrees
But
You're a scholar, sir.
and the books that you read.
right.
So I know for sure. I was like, okay, all of us have an opinion about this. We all have experienced some kind of anecdotal experience, but I know, and I'm pretty sure everybody can unanimously agree. You probably researched more of this than we have. I know for me. So that's why I wanted you to go last.
I would say that, it may be that just age-wise, I have more experience in it. But my thing is from my observation, stuff that I read, et cetera, things I've listening to you guys. A lot of what our problem comes down to, and we can't ignore the historical impact and influences of racism and all the other stuff that we've gone to, slavery, et cetera, et cetera. That is the reason why we think and do and act the way that we're acting. I do agree that we got to be accountable, but the reason you don't see a lot of accountability is because what they have effectively been able to do is to split us up, as y'all said, as far as family is concerned. Splitting us up, and making us individuals has done a whole lot of damage to our community. Community doesn't even mean what it used to mean. Community is like a catchphrase you say in order to sound like you care and that you're smart and you're concerned. But most of the time, when people mention community, it's really from a selfish point of view. Is what can the community do for me? We don't do a lot of what can I do for the community. So in that, we talk about being accountable. It can't just be individuals need to, Joe, you were in the street because you made bad decisions, so you need to be accountable. Accountability also comes from us who have been able to make the right decisions to address these and let these people know what is the best thing to do, because not everybody is privileged to get the education or knowledge, even. And when I say knowledge, I don't necessarily mean like a whole lot of bookworm knowledge, but just common sense knowledge. Common sense is not that common. And we think it's common, but it's not that common. So think about generations of a family where a mother is raising a child, father's out the house. They are living in projects. They have, the school system says you are going to be nothing. The kids got to go home between school and home, and drug dealers and everything are in their cars. They got the gold chains. They do, hey, homie, come work for me, right? Mother at home, she's just trying to figure out how to get a check. So she's got men running in and out of her house, whatever, because she wasn't educated right in the first place either. So you got this kid, boy or girl, coming up in this system. How do you think they're going to make right decisions? Not all of them are going to be privileged unless someone outside comes in and steers that person correctly. Not everyone's going to know without some kind of outside influence. So we can't always think of accountability as that person being accountable. We, as a community, got to be accountable. But until then, it ain't going to happen. So unfortunately, in this culture, now what we got to deal with is selfishness and greed, right? Those are major things. You look at social media is all about self. That's all it's about. It's all about self. So you got social media as a big medium to promote ideas and knowledge information. And most of, yes, there is an algorithm. But unless you know to look up stuff, that's not going to change your algorithm. So if you're a kid coming up and all you know was basketball and the street and hustling and all this ratchet stuff, what do you think you're going to look at on your social media? What do you think you're going to research and look for? Ratchet stuff. So that's going to be your algorithm, right? So you're not going to get it from there. So everything in social media is going to be bad influence, and it's meant to be that way. So we got that. And then you have greed. It's all about, how can I get money from whatever? We have a lot of quote unquote Black intellectual. And when you listen to them, a lot of them, to me, I can remember when I was in college, and that was like a big thing. You want to go to all of these conferences and meetings and listen to these really smart dudes, and they're promoting their books and stuff. But at the end of the day, you never saw them actually doing anything in the street, in donating any money, or doing anything that was really helping the community. They just wanted to let Black people know, I'm smart. I wrote a book. Read it.
You should buy it.
And it's like they weren't really actually trying to do anything. And so that annoyed me. And so what I deal with now, like literally, I'm in 100 Black Men. I'm in another organization we started called Man Cave Inc. And in both cases, we are having a hard time getting Black men to be involved. It's hard because when you try to tell them, let's do something, it means stop being selfish. We need your efforts to help someone else. That's not what they want to do. They want, how are you going to help me? Get me the money so I can come up, right? So until we get past that, until community becomes actually community, until it actually means people helping everybody, you as an individual helping others, one for all versus all for one.
Now, hold on, D-Man. Whoa, pause. Let's not just skim past. Say your two organizations and what do y'all actually do, because that's important, because people should know that there are things in place and there are people that are trying to do. So emphasize, like, you don't got to go all the way in detail.
So
what do y'all do?
100 Black Men is a national organization. It's existed for quite a few, I think at least 20 years, if not more. It's existed for a while, and they are national. And it's just really Black men coming together to try to do something in the community, to be accountable, to support the community and do stuff. And in certain cities, they're more successful than others, simply because, again, we got to confront the community in terms of getting them to be involved and do stuff. So they have lots of different programs that they're trying to do, whether it's economic, whether it's education, whether it's health and wealth. So they do a lot. The local chapter here in San Antonio, the problem is, again, getting young men to be involved. They're aging out. A lot of the men that are on 100 Black Men right now, they're like 60s, starting to push 70s. They're getting up there, and they're trying to bring,
out and travel. And
they're trying to bring other. Well, the thing is energy. Like, they can't do it all themselves. They need, and when all of them retire, and they can't. Who's gonna run? Like, so they're trying to get other Black men, younger Black men, to get involved. They really try to start at 30 because they want you to be experienced, and have spent some time in the world and life. So they kind of have a cutoff where they start at 30, but they have a collegiate version as well. Whoa, who did we just lose? But anyway, so they're trying to backfill and bring men in to start doing work. So they have a problem. So they reached out to us, which is another organization. Started with a group of friends here in San Antonio called Man Cave Inc. And we started off initially as a social group because we would always see each other in similar circles. So we were like, hey, let's keep in touch, let each other know what's going on, because, again, the Black population here in San Antonio is small. And so by us connecting, we can see, and sharing stuff, we can find out what's going on in San Antonio more and more. But as we started sitting around, we started hearing and talking about all the things that we were being impacted from. And one of the major things was us constantly hearing Black women say, Black men are trifling. And we're like, oh, we're just really sick and tired of hearing that over and over and over and over again. So we're like, well, what can we do about that? So then we said, you know what? Let's be more about being accountable for the community and raising up Black men to be more responsible, to be accountable, and to mentor youth and show them the way. So we started doing stuff. 100 Black men found out about us and said, hey, we want you guys to work with us because we need someone to start backfilling for us. So that's how we got it connected with them. So, we're trying to do things in the community that's very similar to 100 Black men, only we are more. It's not just that our target audience tends to be a little bit younger, although I'm not really all that young, as but we tried to be a little bit more personalized. Like one of the things we do is we have a man cave huddle where we bring Black men together to talk about what's bothering us, or whatever is an issue in our life. So whether it's health and wealth, whether it's mental health, whether it's relationships or whatever. And then like actually being together, like we literally will have powwows. Like when we hear stuff, we'll literally have powwows and sit each other down and make each other accountable. Look, bro, we don't think you should be doing that, blah, blah, blah. So that's literally what we try to do. And we're slowly growing. It takes time, but there's a lot of pushback. Some people don't want to believe that people want to change. So they see that you're trying to do something. They don't want to believe it. So they will try to throw dirt on what you're doing because they look at, well, you used to do this in the past. So how can you be about that now? And so they love to throw dirt and doubt and stuff like this. So we got to deal with that. So that's what those two organizations are about. But now to circle back to the original topic. But again, for me, the biggest thing is we got to find a way to get back to being community. Until then, I don't think we're going to be able to do anything because people don't know what they don't know. And so, yes, they should be accountable, but until they know, how can they change anything? You got to know. It can't be just making judgment of your homie because he made a bad decision. You might need to educate him on why that decision was bad and what's a better choice. If you just complain about what he did, he's never going to learn. He's not going anywhere because he reacted based on what he knew. So that to me, and then the other thing is recognizing, not always personalizing everything in your life, and understanding that in order to grow, sometimes it means you're going to have to change. And I think in our Black community, we treat everybody like Black people are monolithic and we should all think and act exactly the same way, which is a lie. And I'm taking that into politics and I'm not going to sit in it, but I think part of the problems with us is sort of alluding to exactly what Joey said earlier is both
Political parties.
Political parties, thank you, are two sides of the same coin. They just go about taking power in different ways, but they're all about power and control, both organizations. And neither one of them has done well. And I always like to challenge Black people, like when they say, well, Democrats is Democrat. I always go, okay, tell me what has gotten better in the last 20 years. Voting the same way. What? We still got Black men not being in the household. We still got a whole bunch of African Americans that live below poverty level. Every time we vote, I see them voting Democrat and they start divvying money out to communities. It seems like they always put all the big projects in the white communities and the Black communities, some little, hey, we're going to build this community center. But in the next neighborhood over, the white community, they're building up a whole, hey, let's put a business park there, which is going to create jobs and is going to increase the value of homes and houses and school systems and stuff. And so for me, expecting change, doing something the same way and expecting change is insanity. I'm sorry, we got to change the way we think. Got to be willing to try different things. And it don't mean you have to stop being Democrat, but it does mean you need to tell them, you got to vote this way. about these issues. We need you to act this way about these issues, or you're not getting my vote. And if they don't do it, don't give them their vote. Don't give them your vote. Screw them. Next time come around, I'm voting for someone else. Don't give them your vote until they start to learn, well, listen, we got to actually start doing what the Black community wants us to do, or we're not going to get their vote. Because they only show up when it's time to vote, when they want us to vote. You never see them around in the community and doing stuff until it's time. And then they want to tell us what our problems are and how we should vote and how we should think. I'm sorry. I do not understand why the Black community was not pissed off when Biden said, if you don't vote for me, I'm blacker than you. I was like, what
yes.
And oh yeah, Black people were eating it up. I'm like, God, like, I'm sorry, I'm just I can't. And I know I'm gonna piss off other Black people, but I don't.
Well, we're born Democrat, and to be honest, especially in the South, you're born Democrat and Christian. Like, you don't get a choice, you know, even if you deviate from that.
And like, that's what I'm talking about. They think we like to think we're all monolithic and we should all think exactly the same way. And we're the only group of people who think politics is a racial identity.
Mm-hmm.
No other race does, not even Hispanics. Hispanics can be both Republican and Democrat, and they don't say you're not Hispanic because you vote on either side of the table. But us, oh no.
Our race is a tag, and I've always felt like this, and we attach it to a lot of stuff. Just the same way with Democrat and Republicans and religion, feminism, we attach our race to a lot of stuff, and what we don't realize as people is the rest of the world sees that, and so now they tag our race to a lot of stuff. You want to get a point across? Bring in the Black people. You got a plight.
Going through stuff.
Bring in the Black people.
Yeah.
Feminism started. The white women. We're not getting what we want. Bring in the Black women. Make them feel like we're equal and we all going through the same struggle. But really, it wasn't. So yeah, you're born into being a Democrat and being a Christian in the South, and I don't think that's cool because that monolithic hive mind doesn't work, and that's not who we are anyway. Lucy, what you got?
All right, y'all ain't tired of talking. We're going on.
I hate you. I hate you.
But I'm gonna say this to close. I think there was a lot of things in place that stifled the Black community back in the day. It was a lot, and it was hard for us to get ahead. Like, there were literal systems, you know, not our fault. But moving forward, you know, there was a time period where we had Black people trying to get us up out of that. Like, they were trying, and I feel like they somewhat succeeded. And then we got into like modern day, and it's just like this selfishness and this belittling one another. There's no unified uplift. So back in the day, this is how it used to be, and there were things that held us back. And then now today, I feel like it is us.
Back.
It's us now.
I've always said slavery back in the day was forced. Now it's just suggested. It's the same thing. Like, we technically the same mentality, the same, you know, times change, but as far as Black people, we kind of so back then they made you be one. Now they just suggest it. Racism was blatant. Now it's, you know, same thing, but just act like it's not.
Yeah, hopefully we can get our lives together. But like I said, I honestly feel like we too far gone. But it's gonna be
sound like she just gave up.
I have. It is we have damaged ourselves, and it's gonna be hard to get us up out of that, man. And I mean, back then it was reasons, but now what's the reason? Like, we have everything.
These systems are not set up, and that's what I'm saying. I feel like our generation now has taken past struggles and used that to our advantage. Those systems that were set up, none of us on here was born. Now, I don't know about D-Man, but I don't think none of us were born during the time of those systems.
I deal with you.
The oppressive systems, none of us were born during those times.
Our ancestors couldn't do anything about that.
Yeah.
Now here we are where we could do something, and now we could do even more because of where we are in the world.
And we do less than what they were doing when they couldn't.
Less.
Because what? Because we don't see each other as community. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We're really selfish.
Individuals.
It's all about what can you do for me?
But the
Yes.
problem is like it used to be certain negative aspects of black culture were in certain populace. It wasn't mainstream. Now those aspects have been ingrained into all the levels of black community. Even at the highest levels of black community, you still see some of those negative traits. So it went from being, okay, this was a small environment that this was fested in, to this is the community now. Normally you would want to take something out of the environment and introduce it to a new environment and rehabilitate it. You can't do that in the black community now because it is simply we're too far gone into it. So we're in a situation where, because we're talking about accountability here, you can't have group-based accountability in the black community at this point. Accountability is going to have to come on an individual basis. You're going to have to use the access to the things that we have, cell phones, whatever, and figure it out and find an answer. And share that with the people that you think can be positively impacted by it if you're going to do anything with it. But I don't think on the macro scale that what the damage that is done in the black community can be undone because it is the community now. It's like if you've seen an animal that has evolved over time and now it is, it carries the new traits that it adapted to deal with those environments, like a polar bear. It evolved from another form of a bear and it got adjusted to being in
Cold
those
climates, yeah.
cold environments. And so now it's adapted for that. But you can't take that polar bear now and put it back in a regular environment because it'll die. It's not built for that. Its body is acclimated to this. The same
Cold
with the
weather.
black community. We're acclimated to certain toxic things that you can't just go put us back now. So we have to navigate our lives knowing that this is a part of us now. And it's gonna take, even if you want to change it, it would take more than one generation, two generations, three generations. It's gonna take the same, it's gonna take the same number of generations that it took to build it
Yep.
to tear it down. But a lot of perverse, powerful things have come of this. And so it's not, some black people have incentive not to change because they benefit off of this.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Greed.
Yeah.
Selfish and greed. So I'm kind of in the ballpark with Lucy though on this whole thing. Like sometimes I feel like, man, it's a lost cause.
Y'all a lot lighter about it than me, because I'm gonna be honest. Last year, and I probably said this to my sister and a couple of my homeboys, and I said it on Facebook, and a lot of people, I had about 4 people stop being my friend because I was like, I'm sick of being a black man in America. Just tired of it. I'm tired of everything being racial. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the fake outrage for certain stuff, but no outrage for
You
other
had wanted
stuff.
to be white.
No, I just didn't want to be black no more. I was sick of that. Like, just sick of us, us being upset about of wanting other people to care about us more than we cared about ourselves. That's draining to constantly feel like we expect the whole world to respect us and care about us. But I can look out and say, I'm 39 years old. Most of the bad stuff I've had happen to me in my life happened from other black people. Really didn't happen from none of these other races. I'm sorry. Just in my own personal life.
And it's always going to be that way. And one thing I want to say, because I hate when I hear that argument from people outside the race, and even sometimes people within the race that talk about black on black crime, because that's always going to exist. You know why?
Yep.
People
Every
are always
group
going to
feels
do
their
crime
own.
where they live. Most white people, you know who commits crime against most white people? Other white people. Most Asians crime is from other Asian people. So you're always going to have a large number of black people doing crime to black people because you do crime where you live. So that's
Who
how
be
it
doing
is.
the school shooting?
So
yeah, well, they killing other people. They ain't killing their own.
and they're killing themselves too.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
the
saying.
school shooters are being done by incels.
Yeah, incels and sociopaths. But yeah, I just feel like,
white?
yeah, I just always felt like born as a black man in America, like I have a son, and I never wanted my son to feel like there's pressure that's on him just for being born a black boy. You gotta look at, if you make it, you gotta bring the community with you. Like there's no individual success. Your success now, I need to eat off that. So I want to teach my kid, like, hey, what you do is for you. My job is to raise you to be a successful adult. I'm not gonna push you so I can benefit off of you once you make it to where I'm trying to get you to go. And I don't want him to feel that pressure, like, man, if I make it big, I got to go back and do this. And because there's a pressure that's applied to black people from social media to just in your own circle of, you ain't looking out.
I hear you on that, James, but I think to me, that's not helpful. And what I mean is, again, people don't know what they don't know. So if the people who do know don't come back and help, how are they ever going to get out? How are we ever going to improve the community's plight if those who got out the plight don't come back and help? But when I say help, I don't mean give up your life for everyone. I don't mean like, oh, you can't go buy a house in the suburb. You gotta buy it in the hood. That's not what I mean. But I do mean like there should be some sense of, okay, I've learned this. I got this skill set. I can contribute to my community in some capacity for those who are willing to accept what I'm giving to them. You can't force it. I'm not worried about trying to force it on anybody that they want to be jerks and don't want to learn it. That's on them. But if people who made it out and people who have the knowledge and the skill set don't come back, you know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to do it? Be like someone that finds their way out of a maze, and you got a whole bunch of people and they're trying to figure it out, and that person doesn't come back and say, okay, this is the path out. You just kind of like, I made it out. Oh well. It's like at least leave some breadcrumbs so people can follow it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I think there has to be some kind of give back, because other communities do that. It's natural for them, so they don't have to talk about it the way we talk about it. Like white people do take care of their people. Hispanics, I think it was either Lucy or Sessions.
They definitely do.
They take care of their people. So why do we act like we're not supposed to do that? We are. It's just that we got bigger challenges we got to deal with. So.
Joey,
I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, and it's going to be my last comment for the night. I think what James was articulating was more so like, okay, like if you go become a professional ball player, you got to come back and buy every member of your family a house and that lifestyle. I think that's more what he was getting at.
Yeah, that's
like obviously, you make it, you want to come and sow in certain seeds and like be a mentor to the next generation. I think James agrees with that point. Yeah. I don't think he's saying, I think what he's saying specifically, like, okay, it's the burden of the successful to come back and like
buy everybody a house and buy everybody a car.
Yeah. Like and it's not just
you do it because you want to. You have to.
Like, and if you don't, you become, you just like the rest of those whites, you just like the rest of them. You don't care. You forget where you came from. Those outside pressures applied to your masculinity or your femininity or whatever, because you didn't go and do what everybody else thinks you should do for them.
That's it. You articulate that well. So,
yep.
All right, guys.
There we go, Lucy. I'm finna just tell you, wrap this up.
Thank you for another wonderful episode of Overly Opinionated. I hope you guys enjoyed what we talked about and our opinions. And if you have your own, feel free to leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, because we are going to be coming with a whole bunch more content. So like, subscribe, and share this with whoever. Feel free to take parts of it and share it with whoever, because there are lots of tidbits of information in here. So we love you guys. Thanks for supporting us.
Wait. Start looking for this Overly Opinionated, the sign that everybody has around them. This is YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. So everywhere you see, like, share, subscribe, comment, as much support as we can get, we greatly appreciate it, and we'll continue giving the content. And Lucy, why is your hand up there?
I was letting everybody see.
Oh, I thought you it's like, oh yeah. I thought you was going to give us some.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.